Hello, IK here. Welcome to JavaScript Engine Developer Continuous 4. Here it is, high level, our React.js code, high level language, JavaScript, translate to machine language and execute that machine language. Is a process of compiling or translation or interpreter from high level to machine language and execution. Every statement, high level language, JavaScript, must go to machine language. Statement, how, reference, and value. This binary code, this machine code, go in memory. In part, at first was programs, what we start. That programs identify location where it would be, and of course, how statement coming, translation go on, program location is bigger and bigger. And every statement, whatever go to machine language, go with reference and value. Must be value and must be reference. Reference point to value. Okay, let's get to see example from our code. Here is a statement, import React from React. Take it and see here, always React is reference here with a big F from import React from React. And React down here, it is library. And here is a reference. What point to React library? It means that in this address, value is reference. Again, address, again, binary code. Address is binary code, address of location in memory. Value in that location is again binary code. It means that these two binary code, one is for address of location and one is value and reference. That reference is address of React library, point to React library. And that variable, or in Grammarly we call it identifier, it is name of a variable. Here it is React, this is React. In that variable is a pointer. That variable have reference to React library, React library. But that reference is valued in binary code, and address where it reference lay, address of location in memory, is again binary code. And we have two binary code. One is address location, and second is pointer, reference to React library. Of course, React library, it is like a value, take more location because it is bigger. It is not some value what can go in one location. It can take more location. Here is important that we have a variable. When one statement go to machine language, in memory, created variable take location and point to value. Point to value. Always we have a reference value. Reference what point to value. Here is import React from React. How it would be in machine language. Process compiling go on, and we have import create root. Create root would be reference, and elements and the library from React DOM client would be value. And here it is app is reference point to app value. Concretely, it's component app. Import provider. Provider would be reference variable, what have reference to React Redux part from part of React Redux. Provider is part of the React Redux package. And the store is variable what point to app store here. And also we have constant container, constant root, also container point to div element ID root. Constant root point to create root container point to what create root, because it is declaration and instantiation. Right side is assignment. Here it is also assignment to container, variable container. Create root container, product of that, is assigned to root variable. And here is root variable, root object. It is element basic elements of our React. Call own method render, and we render provider element, React element with props store, and start rendering and call. It is a calling in a React, calling of function. We call function component app here, and it means beginning of rendering component. It is interesting. All that go to memory in machine language. Provider is element what connect React Redux, and after that is possible to have we have connection, and we have use selector use dispatch, and props of that element store. Here it is point to store what we created. Here it is app store, and in that store import again configure store point to toolkit, Redux.js toolkit, post reducer point to featured post slice, and export constant store, configure store, complete constant store. Again, it is variable and point to value. What is value? Value is what produce configure store. What produce configure store? It is reducer post reducer. It is our slice, post slice, complete. Here it is, post slice. Post slice is here, post slice. Now we can look at in post slice. Post slice is about reducer. It is creation of Redux store reducer. Concretely here it is reducer. And we have initial state. We have all function here also. Function, every function, there is a name of variable point to function. Name of variable point to function, and would be called. And it is for trunk function, and down is post slice. It is extra reducer, add case, pending type, fulfilled type of action. And all here is about reducer. It is poor function reducer. Okay, and all that is in machine language. This moment in machine language. Okay, now we are in component. App component. There is a child component at post form, post list. It would be called, but app, constant app. It is name. It is name. It is the name of function, and it is a reference to function. To this arrow function, and here it is calling. Inside of that arrow function, we have child component, and look at app reference, app name, show to arrow function, but arrow function is there is a child. We can say what would be also pointed add post form point to add post form function, post list point to post list function component. All it is child of app. It is in computer is all hierarchy, and app. Let's get to add post form from top to down, go import again, import statement, React, and the use state. It is to separate reference would point to React library. Every of 1 to open part of React library. And use dispatch, add a new post, point, it is machine language go on. And here we have JavaScript React component, and start add post form point to complete this arrow function. All this inside arrow function is again title is reference. At first, array is reference, and the title is reference inside. It is hierarchy. Add post point to arrow function. Inside arrow function, we have a child of arrow function. Title, settle, we have array at first, and it is territory in address in location, and in that territory there is a title and set title. Array is add post form first level, arrow function second level, in arrow function array third level, in array title and set title fourth level, etc., and all that. And this is assignment. That constant, that array point to use state. Use state is value, and the left side is reference word point. Array point to use state, and array there is inside of array title and set. Oh, look at machine language, how go on, go on. Oh, same for here. Same for all other. Go on. Also, this is must take reference, because we are in our programs. In our programs must have what we declare, must have that declaration. We have a declaration of dispatch, and that dispatch assignment use dispatch. It means assign what need. We have method dispatch in this dispatch, but dispatch is reference point to use dispatch in memory, in machine language. Also on title point to arrow function. On content change is a reference for this arrow function. Go on. Constant can save point to this logical structure. Constant on save post click point to asynchron arrow function, and inside that asynchron arrow function we have other statement and statement with the reference and value. Go on, go on, go on. Return, here is a return. There is a point, return is point on complete this JSX code script also, but inside that, like child, there is every part of that. It is rendering, and return practically is render, and all inside the return is render and return. But now, what is the topic of this video means that when we have, it is initial rendering, what I spoke about. But what happened when re-rendered component and re-render it and re-render it? Does it all repeat? No. At first, import. Don't repeat, we call that definition or declaration. Did not repeat import. It means all import is outside, out of any component. And there is no, the component re-render, but it is there is nothing with the import. Import stay all alive reference, define reference and the value all the time in same place in memory. There is no, we don't lose time and don't lose time and resources for redefinition. There is no redefinition, and this is positioned outside of component. And when we wanting for some function that would not be redefined in every rendering, if don't need be redefined, we can, some versions stay it, write it, code it outside of below this import, outside of component. And now we go in component. But first of all, index.js is not a component, and it is configuration file, and it is only defined one time. It means import statement, constant container, constant root, and this root render. All that is defined, declared or defined. It is same of one time, and there is the same reference for all the life of our application in runtime, and it is index, and of course a store also, and one times defined, never again in life, and it means post slice. It is not component. It happens outside of component. It is only one time go in machine language, take reference, and always have same reference, and can be called during execution, can be called, can be used, but reference is same. There is no redeclaration, redefine, no. Okay, but now we go in application, in our component. A component here is important, all outside of component would not be redefined, but we have up here our fundamental component. There is only here return and the return to child. It would always, every re-rendered would be re-rendered, would be that return, and return is a synonym for rendering. It means all in return, render it again, re-render it and re-render it. But situation in add post and post list must not be that all re-rendered. We can see that add post for, look at when we go inside of uh, uh, inside of add post form. Inside of the add post form, we have a declaration, the structured assignment. Here it is, and this is use state. Does it every re-rendering would be redeclare, redefine. Redefine means give a new reference, like was nothing before, from scratch. Define a new situation. Re-rendering is not refresh, and use state is a manager of local state. And that use state is a coding from authors that changes, redefine, happen only when changes title, when set title changes title. It is immutable way of changes. It means that new state go to new location. New state go to new location. Okay, new location, and can be when is new state different. It is differ, but reference don't need a change. Reference point in a new location. Reference point in a new location, but it means that changes reference. It is changes state, for example, this referenced value. Location in same location, its address of location, it is same, but value, pointer, address of reference, value reference changes and point to other new state, immutable. It is immutable way, and the state before didn't touch. But there is no need for changes address of reference. We need only change reference, not address of reference. Change reference, and that reference point in other place of new state. It is all here and here. It means that if we change this title with set title and not change it, it would be redefine. We can say it is redefine, new reference and new value. But if we don't have not set content, that we don't change content, this part stay like was. No lose time and resources to redefine performance. No, we don't need redefine. It is use state job. And also here, this structure assignment, of course, use state. There is no redefining, redeclaration in every re-rendering. No, only use state is manager of that. And only when changes title content, what changes have redefined reference and a new location of new value. Dispatch. Here is a reference. Reference of dispatch is for all life. for our life. Use dispatch point, use dispatch this, and it is for all life that this reference of dispatch and use dispatch. There is no need for changes, and the whole life of programs, it is the same reference. On title change, also it is point to this arrow function, and this because it is called by on click, it is only redefined when happen on click, or on change. Here is concretely on change. Even on change, call that arrow function. If there is a no on change, there is a no redefine. Here is constant can save. Constant can save, for example, there is nothing what would be save resources. Constant can save, redefine every time. Every re-rendering. Because it is some logic about what depend next code, and that logic depend about previous code, and always it would be control. It is example where something is redefined every time. Every time. Even I didn't analyze now situation when would be would be situation that we don't need it change. No, it is changes every time, every rendering. And here is again constant on save post click. It is called by on click, and it is redefined only when happen on click. It is a form for add new post, and always we have a typing title content, and always we push button save, and it is called only on click. On click event call it function. And of course in 10 all this is this statement would be processing, would be redefined, would be processed. Of course, set title this is a title and content would go to tank function, but after is all is okay, because we await it would be okay. If it is okay, we set title to empty, set content to empty. It is a string. It is a primitive type of data, and they change reference title, only change pointer to new location. New location value is empty. New location set content empty. It means title is always in same reference, and content in same reference, in same location, and only reference changes. Pointer point in other place of location. It means that set title don't clear value and write and locate new value in same location. No. before value would be untouched, and pointer point to new location in memory. All that immutable, all that don't use the same location, all that is some poor function. All that means less bugs, because we know what we expect. We know what we enter, what is input value, and we know what we expect. There is no unknown enter, like some side effect in our function, in our component. Okay, all that depend about button on click. Here it is. And return, like return, is calling for redefined all inside of return, the JS6, and it is our user interface would be processed, redefined, we say render it, but there is a reconciliation process, and that in that reconciliation there is an algorithm what will change only what need change in this rendering. And we see that when we type value and change title on title change, we see that only value attribute changes, not other, not other. Okay, here we see how that machine language go to memory, go to processors. It is like some river go to sea, and you see always must have a pointer location for reference of value and value in other location, and that value can be a lot of space, like some React library, etc. When import, for example, our example, when import React from React go in machine language, and the execution of that means that all take location, reference value, and library React point, it is a variable reference, point to value of React library. And look at that moment would be load from node. Here is from node. This is node. From node module would be loaded. Would be loaded some library from here, and would be that part is included in our machine language, but all of that pointer React point to that library, and that library can take a lot of location, and every location there is address, but also React is address for complete that library. It is in computers here, in realization of program execution, all is hierarchy, program, statement. And inside of statement can be other statement, like when we have function or object, etc. All that go in machine language, and this is important when it go And does it redefined in every re-rendering? And we see that not redefined, that authors of React take a hard job to create React Redux with excellent parameters. But there is use callback and use memory. What a lot of people, what I about what I speak now, after 2 years learning React, and it is assigned to you. We cannot go early in some deep learning. Okay, let's go to see what I said, that every time redefine. Redefine means again execute, and if it is changes pointer, changes reference, but changes value in a new location. But let's see what we said, that every time it is post list. It is post list. I said that every time. Okay, here it is. Post list, it is tank. We have a variable let content. It is every time redefine. It means every time created let content is reference to all of this logic. Again, also it is explicit: content equal loading, content equal post map with list content, and the logic depend about status. If status loading, content would be loading. If status succeeded, content would be list, map by map, post excerpt, list of post. If would be not one of it, would be error, if it is rejected or added. And this is every time redefine, but we can see again, let content define location address of that reference. It is location first time, initial rendering. But after that, don't change. Content stay in same location, but a value in that location. It is a reference. It is point. What point? Point in this situation, point to loading. It is new location. In this situation, point to list, map list, new location. And it depends. Let content here is only declare, but not instantiate. After declaration here is instantiate through ternary operator. Ternary operator is with this, it is like if-else structure. Ternary. And that ternary if status loading, question mark means content will be loading. It means it is assignment. We declare let content. It is only one time declare. It means get it in some location. But instantiation would be depend about status. Status equal loading. Content would be loading. It means pointer that content from this location, same location, change address of loading. And here, if status is succeeded, content would be change address, reference, pointer. Pointer show in this list. Pointer show in this list. If it would be error, content is a point to this this error. It is what we know that every time redefine, every re-rendering, it is repeating this process of content. And it must be repeated because it is content. What we see and depend about all other states and all other contents around it because content is final product and all together can get influence on final product like status, like error, and it is execute every time. It is post list, and here is in post excerpt. Here it is. We have this logic. This logic. It executes every time. It executes it every time. This logic redefine or because it is controlled, does it update post form visible or not visible? And it redefine this logic redefine every time. And that logic is again ternary. We cannot save in logic. And it is. Here is this post list. And now use effect. Use effect, I didn't before explain it, but use effect is the same, depend about this dependency, like use callback and use memo. It means that use effect happen every time when event component was mount happened. Component was mount event happened every time when component was mount. And it means that somebody must stop that loop. Component mount, start use effect. Use effect, start component rendering. Component rendering finished. Component was mount, start use effect. Use effect rendering, start rendering that component. Component finished rendering, it means component was mounted. Start use effect. You look at it is circle. Because of that, we must that circle finished. That use effect cannot be in action. Use effect can be called by event component was mounted, but would not need to start to execute. How? At first, it is always with this dependency. Use effect, there is a parameter arrow function. There is a parameter arrow function. It means that in initial rendering, it would be defined. This arrow functional, it would be defined. And when component was mount, it means that initial rendering is finished. It means that all this in initial rendering is defined. What it is mean? Declare how it must be declared. Use effect is point to arrow function. Arrow function, there is a often use effect point to arrow function, but use effect, this post list point to use effect. Post list component is parent to use effect, and use effect don't point, but use effect, there is a arrow function. And use effect is a name of function, name of hook function. It means it is a reference to value, what it is reference to value, and it is reference to, there is a parameter, and the parameter is arrow function, and in that arrow function we have status, and status must be idle. That logic always redefined, and also control would be status and dispatch. It is dependency. And if status is idle, and it is first time, and dispatch fetch post means calling, dispatch call fetch post tank, it's always one. And status equal idle is one only if status equal idle. It means one and one. In that situation, it would be start. But it means that status, here it is, use effect, depend about this logic. About this logic depend, does would be dispatch or not be. Status must be idle, that we have dispatch, tank function, fetch post. But dependency that use effect would be start, would be called dependency. It depend about status. It means that it would be called and activate only when status changes. And status changes from idle to succeed, to pending, to succeed, or to rejected. Status changes, but status changes of status, we need re-rendering, because status is properties of state in Redux. And we have changes status from idle to pending, from pending to fulfilled or rejected. And for every of that status must be re-rendering post list. When status is loading in pending type action, we have loading on the screen, only loading. When status is fulfilled, we have a post list. But it is okay, depend about status. If status don't change, would not be use effect activate. And the dispatch also, when now I know what means dispatch. What is dispatch? Dispatch, very, very clear now. Look at what is it? Dispatch. It is a reference to use dispatch, to point use dispatch. Reference. Always name of variable. It is a reference to this side, assignment side. And that reference coming, it is Redux, from Redux, coming from React Redux package. Dispatch is, there is a same reference all the time, all life of program. Dispatch. Dispatch is always same in any time. And it means that only status is variable, and any changes of status would be activate use effect. Here is one explanation and one situation. What is the most confused? In short, here we have a user interface, and React take care about user interface. And because it is user interface, It is, we call it rendering because it is like picture on the screen. It is interface. It is like image on the screen. And in that sphere of architecture and image would call rendering that picture, 3D, 3D image. And here it is because it is front end, the user interface, also rendering. It is like some, but in reality, from JavaScript engine developer, it is processing. It is processing. You will see it go in machine language, and every rendering is processing. Go in machine language, and machine language go in processor, and it is processing every machine language line, every machine language statement, and processing. And when we ask, because there is a lot of re-rendering, render initial and re-rendering, and every statement in a component, practically maybe in beginning, would be re-rendered also. It means declaration, again, re-rendering. In re-rendering would be redeclare. What it means? It means variable take new address. It is like refresh. And the value would be in some new location. All re-reference. All situation would be like never before it would be here, but it was. And because of that, it is important to know what is redefined. And we see that we don't need redefine the location of variable, but we must redefine only pointer, that pointing in other place in memory, etc., etc. But we see that some logic have redefined every time. And what if that logic is complicated? What if that function is a big, complicated calculator? And every time, if it is in component, every time recalculate again. We don't need it. And because of that, we have a use effect, and the dependency said, no, not every, you don't execute when you want. You execute only when status changes. And it is logical because we need re-rendering when status changes, because it is changes in Redux, and we must create a user interface depending about that state in Redux. Status loading means on the user interface to see loading, or fulfilled status mean succeeded status mean to see post list. Here it is. Okay, let's get to see this application. You see one experimentation with the post remove. This is our construction. We write, declare constant post remove equal arrow function, and it would be, here it is. In both situation I have same. Okay, it would be without use callback, but after that, when I look at it, is redefined every time re-rendering. But we don't need it, and in that situation, we can stop redefinition every time with use callback. We must, of course, import use callback and import use memo, use callback, and write it in front of our arrow function. And here must be dependency, dispatch. Again, dispatch never changes. It is all alive, stay like first compiling in machine language. It means same location, dispatch. There is a same location in and point in same location of value, use dispatch, all line. It means, and use callback would not be, never in programs, because use callback. No, never would be callback, because never dependency changes, and never would be called that function. That function, what we call back, but it means that never would be called post remove, but there is who call it function, call post, who call this function? It is post list. This function, pardon, this is post excerpt, post list. Post remove. Button on call, on click, post list. Here it is, on click. On click, call post remove. Post remove with post ID when we push delete. And in this situation, when on click call post remove would be called, would be redefined, and would not be redefined because post remove point to one location where it is arrow function and some value, but it can okay, never mind about that. On click call post remove. On click call post remove. But post remove declared here, of course, but not again. It is only redefined for on click, on delete button. Here it is also a function rendered post. At first, I change constant render. I changes it in until now it was in constant rendering. It was constant rendering equal arrow function, but now I write it in function. It is comment. You can experiment with it. I rewrite in function, render it, and here is curly brackets and like function we create, and all work excellent, but we must give here a return. And all is, but because it is function, okay. Here is variable rendered post equal arrow function, but here before arrow function use memo and must write here return. What it means? It means that rendered post redefined every time in rendering. If we don't like it, we use memo. Here is post remove, also redefine every time, but we use callback to not redefine. It is a function. Here is and here is dispatch. All the life is a life of programs is unchanged, and it means would not be redefined, this function, but would be called only with on click. And now I explore, it is only my experiment and my learning. I explore when something is called on click event and on change event, that it not recalculate. Calculate one time, define one time, and waiting on click, not every rendering. Post remove here is on the post list and would be called only when we press delete. But all other activity, or add new post, update new post, fetch, it is when happened, we always happen redefine or execute redefine of this ordered post, and always that ordered post activate rendered post, because there is ordered post. It means that we have always redefine with every rendering, we have redefined ordered, and because of that, changes ordered here is happen in rendered post changes, because changes ordered post. And if we don't, but this ordered, if rendered post depend about ordered post, and I have CRUD and post list, it would be always ordered post. In every action, features of CRUD, create, read, delete, update. In any of the actions, we have re-rendered, and in any we must change ordered post, would be activate ordered post, and would be activate rendered post. And okay, I didn't have some big, complicated mathematical formula would execute long time. And in that situation, use memo that every rendering would not, for every rendering, activate that function. And this is experiment. I think I don't need here use memo. But for example, this rendered post, there is a lot of job. And it is creation of this article. And it happened here in this code, created rendered post. And in every re-rendering that we have creation of that, it is not useful. But in this concretely situation, it must be re-rendered and redefined in every re-rendered, because it is main job of this post list. But of course, in some situation when we have something a lot of to work, it means render it post variable is all this article created, and in every re-rendering again and again, if it is not as it is something what we don't need in every rendering. And that situation use memo. Here is return and use ordered post. It means only if ordered post changes, I will be activate. I will be execute. And artificial give me post remove, and we have a long talking about post remove. I think post remove I don't need, because I don't need post remove inside of here. There is no post remove. There is ordered post, but there is no post remove. And if I write post remove, I must write add post, update post, fetch post, because it is about delete post. And I don't see this reason for it, and I artificial intelligence write a lot of about that, and this is a situation where we not have same thinking. I think post remove in this situation we don't need, because ordered post is here directly include. Here it is ordered post. Okay, somewhere I meet with the text in internet that this use memo and use callback. Here it is use callback, because for example, post remove would be always recalculate, would be always redefined every re-rendering, but we don't use it always. It means post list re-rendered when we add post, update post, fetch post, delete. But delete, we don't use delete, but re-rendering will redefine post remove. And I use, here is use callback. It means use callback means don't call me, don't redefine me, don't call me, and call me again. And dispatch is dependence here, because we have here inside dispatch, and because dispatch is all life of programs, we have post remove will not be redefined, but only when would be call on click. And of course, this is very small function, and this is it is question. It is question. In general, it is question when you use callback. What is border between not use and use? Because this small function, if redefine every time, it is maybe better performance than when we use callback, because you use callback also need resources of computers, and maybe performance of our application would be worse with use callback than without it. Also, in this situation with use memo. Use memo. I said it is only one experiment that we won't memorize. That would be memorize all this activity. It means execution of arrow function and value would be saved in this, and we don't like that it would be every rendering would be redefined, render it post equal and all that. But in this situation, when we have post list, and the reason for rendering of post list is always is only we need always render it post list. But I ask myself that because rendered post list, we always we have always in pending type of action. And pending type of action, nothing happens. We don't have a reason to we don't have a reason to render it post, but in fulfilled action we have reason. But I now in application 454 it is without tank. It is synchronized Redux with React, and we don't have here pending and fulfill. Here is a tank one application, and here is a tank function we use, but I didn't use ordered and rendered code here. I give here post like it is from it is ascending because of simplicity code what is here, but I can also but I said what I have for this video about use callback and use mem. Of course, you can read about that a lot of in other places, but here in this video, I hope that you see problems what we solve with it. That problem is that some code, that is some function in a component redefined every time when component re-render. And but we don't need it. Redefined means redefine a new, like it was first time, new location, address of location reference, address of new location value, and every time redefine. But we don't need it. We want memorize of that function first address, reference and value, and waiting that function, concrete function, would be called on click with some event would be called, and it is a reason for use callback and use memo. Use callback, it means it is not memorize, it is don't call me. Use callback, don't call me. But use memo means memorize some result or big calculation, memorize result, and don't recalculate every time. as I have in this example, where I where I have rendered post. I have a complete article with a lot of callings. All that would be executed and go in rendered post, and use that rendered post used here. But it is rendered post is not called here and execute here in return, but it is created here. And if we don't need create it every time in every rendering, we can use memo and use it only when we call it somewhere. Okay, for this, yes, I read that use callback and use memo very complicated, and I need personally, because I work in elementary knowledge and deep knowledge, elementary knowledge about React. I have simplest application possible, but it is 90% of every application in the world, the React Redux application. It is crude: create, read, update, delete features, and it is what all application need, and it is main part of every application. But I explain it with only it, without design and without more adding functionality, because of concentration of focus on crude and on focus on learn React Redux deep learning. Okay, it's for this video. It's all for this video. Thank you for watching this.